we can include the third, the three party. We need to include other stakeholder, international stakeholder, as well as embrace the communication. So before we move to the next keynote speaker, I'd like to remind the participants to fill out the check-in form through the website that we have shared in the chat forum, as well as those who would like to raise questions at the end of the third speaker's presentation. You can just either raise your hand, or you can also write your question in Zoom forum chat, or on live comment on YouTube. So you can actually write your questions over here too. So now let's move to the next keynote speaker. He is a professor from University of Sultan Zainal Abidin, Malaysia. So Dr. Suyatno Ladiki is the Deputy Dean of Student Affairs and Alumni, Faculty of Law and International Relations, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Malaysia. He's also a member of American Political Science Association, APSA. He has taught at UPN Yogyakarta, University Sains of Malaysia, University Utara Malaysia, and has been a visiting professor at Erlangga University. His field areas include political science, international political economy, democracy, and globalization. Please, Dr. Suyatno Ladiki.
Okay, thank you very much. My voice is clear, is it right?
Yes.
Clear, yeah? Okay, thank you very much for moderator. Thank you very much for the committee invite me to give a speech in fruitful opportunity, getting some knowledge exchange. Thank you Pak Toto, thank you Pak Wadek. Ya, ada berapa kali saya datang di UNESA di Fakulti Ilmu Sosial, tapi masa itu masih mengajar di UUM. Sekarang saya mengajar di Terengganu. Maybe it's not familiar with the some friends in Indonesia. Terengganu is so far from the KL, about 500 kilometers. But we have a toll, so it reaches only 4 until 5 hours if we drive, ya. Jadi saya alu-alukan untuk kehadiran teman-teman UNESA datang ke kampus kami di Terengganu. Ya, karena kebetulan fakulti kami adalah fakulti yang similar, saya rasa dengan FIS ini, ya. Fakultas undang-undang itu kalau di Indonesia namanya Fakultas Hukum, dan hubungan internasional, Faculty of Law and International Relations. Saya rasa kita punya banyak kesamaan. So hari itu Bu Eva kalau tak salah itu pernah menghubungi saya untuk mencoba menindaklanjuti kerjasama, dan malangnya kita mendapati COVID, ya. But unfortunately we got the COVID, but we still same spirit to continue our cooperation maybe in the later, especially in the COVID era or in the online teaching scheme for our cooperation. Today I would like to share my condition, especially in Indonesia. Originally I come from Surabaya, ya. Saya juga ada Surabaya, bonek Surabaya yang menjadi TKI di Malaysia lebih dari 10 tahun. Saya merupakan sahabat dari Dr. Tauran, ya. Dr. Tauran sahabat dan guru saya sekaligus. Jadi bagi saya Indonesia bukanlah sesuatu yang asing, saya sangat familiar sekali. Oke, moderator, nampak saya punya presentation?
Yeah, Pak.
Halo?
Yes.
Nampak ya?
Yeah, we can see your presentation now.
Okay, thank you very much. Please let me explain about my presentation today about the education and COVID in Malaysia. Firstly, I would like to explain about how the government can arrange or can control, especially to manage COVID, especially to press. I think only in except Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia is part of the countries who success to control COVID-19. So this is the reason why I will try to give the background of the COVID in Malaysia and then influence for the education system. Okay. If we know in Malaysia, the first case starting in the 24th January, and then in March we tried to declare, declare from the WHO, and then Malaysia starting to semi-lockdown in 18 March, and then Malaysia announced become the first ASEAN country to impose an aggressive 40-day movement control order. So we call movement control order, yeah, and then so it's different with the term of the lockdown movement control order atau kawalan pergerakan, ya, perintah kawalan pergerakan. It's mean maybe similar with the partial lockdown. So effective from March for the 2 until 3 months. And then in the control order, we get the step to increase control, and then we start to release the burden of the people, starting from the term moving control order, and then the term enhanced movement control order, and then change to conditional movement control order. Nowadays, we call as a recovery movement control order. So it means still under control of the state. Then in MCO, for the first time, shutting down government and private premises, especially education. Yeah, so shutting down all of university in Malaysia, and then we send our students going home, and then we facilitate also, and then to come back the country, and come back to home country, and then travel ban. Of course, we cannot go outside, even from the house, except only the shopping for the household foods, yeah, and then restriction of movement within country. It is the important three important things in CO in Malaysia as a starting how to state control the conflict era. And then this is the term of MCO. It's called how to government control, especially private premises. Everything says forbid to operate except essential services. And then such as food, water, yang memenuhi hajat orang banyak, we call in Indonesia term. And then secondly, travel ban of Malaysia citizens not permitted to live, and non-citizens are not allowed to enter the country. Especially my child and my wife cannot come back to Indonesia because even I'm not non-Malaysia, so we can forbid to move physically. And then for non-citizen, for me, for example, subject to quarantine if I enter to the state. Until now, I think the policy in Malaysia, every people who come from overseas must be quarantined for 40 days. In MCO also restricted in the country, so travel ban from one place to another is not allowed. Yeah? So in MCO era, there are restrictions for the people move around. Yeah? And because we got some ruler, maybe gathering and then travel from one place to another place is not allowed. If we still doing that, so fine will be exceed 1,000 ringgit.
Nawarin promo ininya. Promo oli gratis 1 liter. So, kita lagi di Cirebon nawarin promo.
Okay, can we continue? So okay, this is the fine and imprisonment for the term not exceeding 6 months or 2 boots. I have one case from my student getting the fine 1 ringgit, 1,000 ringgit, approximately mungkin sama dengan 3,5 juta, because they still because he insists himself to go outside in the night. This is the MCO. After MCO, because the COVID decrease, and then we call conditional control order. So on and on, we got the release movement. Dalam bahasa Malaysia kita namakan Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan Pemulihan. Ya, itu mulai tanggal 10 Jun sampai ujung Agustus. This is the term in Malaysia. So mulai hari ini, mulai tanggal 10 Juni sampai sekarang, kami sudah boleh melakukan pergerakan. Ini adalah mana yang diizinkan, mana yang dilarang. Ini adalah satu aktiviti dan ini sangat strict ya. Warung-warung pun harus mengikuti SOP. So this is the reason why I still always said if I read news about the development of the COVID in my home country, Surabaya, because I come from Surabaya. So my elder son still in Surabaya. Sometimes I feel worried really about the COVID in my home country. Ini adalah perkembangannya. This is the why Malaysia, data yang terbaru ada 8 orang atau tak sampai 10 orang. This is the cyclus this is the graphics how to COVID suffer Malaysia, and then government success to control because they have a good capacity, especially. This is the report. Our state is in Indonesia. It's called provinsi. I live in Terengganu, so for a long time, maybe Terengganu and Kelantan is the country still has number 1 in the country free of COVID. Okay, how do Malaysia success to control COVID? Because if I follow or regarding Fukuyama statement, there is a state capacity and there is a public trust from Malaysia. It's already clear why some countries have done better than yes.
We have only 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left for your presentation.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will try to make it short. And this is the reason why the government, because it has a good state capacity, so can control the pandemics because they got public trust. Public trust rise because state capacity success. Success. There is a competent state apparatus, and then social trust rise to reach state capacity. And then the other factor is leadership. In Malaysia, there is effective leaders. So Prime Minister get effective leaders. Okay, maybe I will make it short, and then I will try to give how to in Malaysia continues our teaching and learning during COVID, the transition from the traditional classroom to the e-learning. I think it's similar with Indonesia and other countries, from the classroom physically to the e-learning. How to manage the education in Malaysia, especially in our campus in Indonesia. Firstly, online teaching. We have the online teaching classroom in Indonesia. All of the subject going to the online classroom, and then we also wide the opportunity global classroom. So we have global classroom with Airlangga and USU and UPN Jawa Timur. And also we encourage students to follow Harvard X as global online teaching. And then we also have the webinar with Airlangga, maybe for 10 times, with the Airlangga, with USU 2 times, and with the NCCU Taiwan, YIN Makassar also. Between student, between lecturer and student, this is the good opportunity to make the webinar as a media. And then continuous assessment, because we have no final exam, so everything about the final change to the continuous assessment. Online exchange student, this is a good opportunity for the our cooperation or our college in Indonesia. And then we already discussed with UNER and UPN Jawa Timur. We prefer to give online exchange student when the student in Airlangga or in UPN involved in the online teaching, our online teaching, and then we can transfer credit. So this is opportunity for UNESA if UNESA interested to join together with our program online exchange student, so we can continue. Because this is opportunity, so we cannot suffer with the COVID. then we can continue our cooperation in the online exchange students. Second option is in teaching using online, and then final exam, some students can come to Malaysia because online final exam will be held in January. Maybe in Malaysia is open because until the end of this year, everything about the education teaching learning going on to the online teaching. But in the January, we plan to face-to-face. In October, for example, students of UNISA get permission to come, but lecture still online, except final exam. This is the reason. Final exam in next semester will be in the end of January. This is a possibility is too high for the student from Indonesia come to Indonesia doing the final exam of the online exchange student. This is the opportunity for our cooperation in the later. Conclusion, I think that we have opportunity in ICT or an e-learning offer to raise educational standard. So nowadays we insist ourselves to understand about how to use the technology as basic learning. And then secondly, large range of ICT tools are available for teaching and learning. This is the rich sources for us using the ICT tools. But we have a big problem, it's called digital divide. Not only in Indonesia, but also in Malaysia, still problem how to student get problem with online because there are many students stay in the remote region. This is the concern from the Malaysia government, and then this is the reason why Malaysia government give permission to the students starting the October come to the university. And then how to involve teacher and parent. This is a big challenge. Yeah? There are many cases how to parents sometimes also less attention or anything. So sometimes still pick a problem in their house. So as an obstacle to teaching or into teaching and learning. And then school will need funding, access, and training. This is important. This is a big challenge, not only for Indonesia, but also in Malaysia. This is a big challenge because funding, access, and training is three factors to influence online teaching and learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Latiki. Some of his crucial thoughts are including a good mitigation control over pandemic. That's why in Malaysia, education will be normal again in October 2020, and the government gain public trust quite significantly, as well as the university where Dr. Latiki now teaches is implementing online global classroom and collaborating with several universities, including in Indonesia. But some challenges that he thinks still have to be managed by the government is the digital divide as well as the funding for the online classrooms. So yeah, there are all the key elements from Dr. Latiki. Now I would like to open up the question and answering sessions. So the Q&A session will be divided into two sessions. The first one is from the raise hands, live raise hands. So the participants are invited to raise hands, and they're invited to raise questions to each of the keynote speakers here. So please, before you raise your question, raise your hand virtually and then mention your name and your institution. And the question is designed or designated to which keynote speaker. And for the first session, we would have the one from we have one from this Zoom chat forum. This is from Mr. Lutfi Saksono from Universitas Negeri Surabaya. The first question is for Professor Johannes Japska. can you see or predict the future of education in Indonesia if the government cannot control COVID-19? So I would like to invite Professor Johannes Japska to answer this question.
Okay, thank you very much. Johannes is enough. The Chapka is always very difficult to pronounce,
Yeah.
I know.
Thank you.
Johannes is easy for everybody to pronounce at all.
Sure.
I have good news and I have, how shall I say it, critical news. The good news is what my daughter actually is working in a Japanese company on the COVID vaccination. So what we are facing is mid of next year, the vaccination will be here. So there are around 20 companies which are working now on the vaccinations, and they will all succeed around mid of next year. So that's the good news. The question is more how we just deal with this year. And what I always tell to the people in the school and in the university, take it easy. I don't think we need now to rush and to do many activities, more to say, okay, it's a timeout. It's a timeout in school system, it's a timeout in university, and we have more to think about how to use this timeout to reconstruct our own ideas of that. I know it's difficult for the students, I know. It's difficult for the teachers, I know. But anyhow, maybe we just can reduce, instead of saying, how can we do our examinations online? So reduce just the examinations for that time and just say, okay, maybe it's difficult for those who want to have their graduation now at the very end of a study. But in the middle, we just have time. Just give the students time, give the teachers time, relax a little bit. Don't think that we have to compete again and again. That's my message. So first, the good message, next year, maybe July, August, we have the vaccination, and then we are in some way back to normal. And the second one is, please relax.
Thank you. I believe we have also the WhatsApp group from the question from the participants who cannot post the questions in the Zoom forum. It's raising the question on the quality of online courses during the pandemic. So I believe Professor Yosom Sakti kindly answer the question, please.
Yes, in fact, just call me Samrit. In Thailand, we usually call the first name.
Okay.
You can call me Samrit.
Samrit.
So, you know that right now, on the social media, in Thailand, for example, we can search for knowledge through like many channels online. For example, like the YouTube. So when I want to learn something by myself first, so I can try to search for what the topic I would like to learn. So this is just try to apply to the education, formal education, like the higher education, the university. So how can we improve the quality of the higher education? In my opinion, I think that it depends on individual university. They have to find what is strengths they have and try to offer the course that they think that interesting for anyone who can access the website or the online facility of the university. So I myself, I would like to encourage individual university to try to strengthen their own capacity, what field they would like to encourage or try to promote to the society, something like that.
Thank you, Professor Samrit. We have another question raised by a lecturer from UNESA, Universitas Negeri Surabaya. I believe this question can be answered by the three keynote speakers. So, is there any chance? Is there any chance that the University of Belfield and then Purapa University as well as University of Sultan Zainal Abidin, Malaysia, we can have the exchange of visiting professors or visiting lecturers to have the online classrooms. So please, I would like to invite Dr. Ladiki.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a good opportunity during COVID because we still use the online teaching scheme, teaching online as a good use technology. Not only in the not only the visiting professor, but also the scholar visiting, professor visiting, scholar visiting, and also student exchange. So in the next semester, because nowadays we already entered in the long holiday until until October. In the next semester, we are planning to invite, for example, international relation professor from IR Gajah Mada to give kuliah perdana. This is as our tradition to starting the semester, invite the prominent people, and then also we got the invitation from the Airlangga, for example, to scholars, to lecturers, will give online teaching as a visiting scholar. Then we also plan the exchange students when the Airlangga University and my students in Indonesia involved in some subjects, similar subject of course, and then follow the subjects until the end of semester. So we can transfer the subjects to our university. It's called online exchange students. So not only with the Airlangga but also with the UPN Jawa Timur, especially in international relations. I think that there are many subjects in my faculty similar with the subject in Fakulti Ilmu Sosial dan Hukum di UNESA. So we can share which one the similar subjects, and then we can share, so we can arrange our MOU and MOA, and then we can continue with the opportunity going to cooperation. So we cannot suffer with the COVID, but we continue our cooperation. We continue to build our pick opportunity for our student and for our lecturer. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a very good news for students as well as lecturers. So the opportunity is now coming around to NESA as well as to the university partners internationally. So how about in Belfield University? Can we have these online classrooms as well as online exchange students? Johannes?
Yeah, I have good news and bad news. The good news is all our students are away. We have a summer vacation, and the summer vacation is extra long because our university will start actually 1st of November. So we have a very long time out now. So in that way, I can have many contacts to you, but my students are gone, so they are not here. And as I heard before from Mr. Ladiki, it's interesting to have student exchange to each other, but our student exchange in November. That's the earliest way to bring us together.
Okay, so does it mean that in November they will be coming to campus, or it will be still online?
Partly. So the first semesters and the last semesters will be in presence, maybe, we will see. Okay. And in the middle, we will try to do all our lectures online, as we did in this semester.
Okay, thank you. Now next, Professor Samri.
So in the AI University right now, because on already lecturers and students, they are encouraged to use online teaching and learning. So I think this is for opportunity for the student of both countries to share online. In the past, when we have the exchange, student exchange or faculty member exchange, so they just commute between to over to university because we have some our counterparts like the MOU before, and then for the University of Surabaya, I think if we initiate some MOU, so we can have the student exchange as well. But there's physical exchange. But right now, we have more opportunity to use online because not only professors but students they are encouraged to use online. However, I want to say right now on class 100, so they only online about maybe 20. Still very small number because it's very new. Even for myself, I use online like we call meeting and classroom or Google and Zoom. So they some of them they don't know. Yeah, we need to initiate this one. Okay.
Thank you. So it's a good news too from Thailand, Purapa University. We have also another question from the WhatsApp group. So when we talk about education in higher learning institution, it's not only about teaching, but it's also about doing research project. So is that for each university, how do you conduct the internationalization program in terms of doing international research collaboration? So I'd like to invite Johannes first.
Yeah, in fact, that's a good question. I wanted actually to raise that before already. Thank you for that question. I think that's the most easiest in the moment to do the research together because then the partners are already there. And in most cases, they are linked together already. So the research I found was the most easiest. Difficult it is, for example, for my students. I have 3 students who want to run their research directly in Indonesia, in Paraguay, and in Argentina, but they cannot travel, so they have to do the research, the data collection by internet, and this is a little bit tricky. Data collection by internet is not so easy.
Thank you. So do you suggest that they use the secondary data, or what is the strategy for this international research collaboration?
They need just more support from the countries. So they need support from Indonesia, from Argentina, from Paraguay. So the partners there have more work. Normally they just travel there, meet the children or the students, do their interviews, and they go back. Now they need somebody in between. So we need a new design for this kind of data collection.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Dr. Ladiki would like to share his thought on this. Yes.
Okay, I think not only online student exchange, but also research collaboration is a good opportunity during the COVID. We can try to create, for example, in the matching grant scheme. Yeah, I think DIKTI also give opportunity how to get the fund from DIKTI as long as has a collaborator research collaborator from the overseas. So, for example, we also have matching grant with the FISIP Erlangga during the COVID, and then we can try to research comparatively. For example, in state capacity, for the concept state capacity, how the Malaysia government managed the COVID compared to how the Indonesia government managed the COVID. For example, in the state capacity. Nowadays, we try to create this collaborator. So I think this is a good opportunity for us doing research together with the scheme matching grant. Yeah, matching grant. If you have one 100 million, for example. So we can in my sites, in our sites, we try to get the SIM grants. SIM grant. So, and for us, maybe for 30,000 ringgit. So this is a good example. But we can proceed as soon as possible, I think.
Do you also find the similar hindrance as Johannes already told us earlier regarding the data collection or the hindrance regarding the pandemic? So in his case that his students cannot collect the data because the country's control over the pandemics from one country to another is quite different. What about in Malaysia? Does it also apply the same, or what is it?
In Malaysia nowadays, good opportunity for us movement in all of area, except we cannot go abroad. We can go to other states. For example, from my place to Kuala Lumpur, this is not difficult anymore. So I think this is not difficult for us to encourage students, for example, getting some data. In Indonesia, I think this is not also as an opportunity, same things with Malaysia. Even in Indonesia still get suffer from the COVID, but mobility of the people still can do, compared to the other countries. For German, maybe in Malaysia, I think it's no problem.
Okay.
As long as COVID can manage, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So it's a good news that the matching grant. So we would love to see the collaboration with the lecturers from UNESA as well as professors from your university for this international collaboration project. Now next, please, Professor Samrit.
Yes, I think to do co-research, it depends largely on individuals, right? Researcher. So if they know each others, I think they can create some project together, and they might get some funding from their own faculties to support them. Because when we talk about the research, it might be small research project or big or something, and many people get involved. So in my opinion, not only for the some faculty members, if they want to do, easily for them to do, but it depends on themselves too. Sometimes you know that in Thailand there are requirements for faculty member to do some research, and they prefer to do some research in the country. But if they have some friends and in some like in Indonesia, they can do some cooperative research easily. And I think that is very easily for them if they are they like to do that. So it depends on individual condition too. Yes.
So in other words, it's really about the people-to-people contact then. So whenever they have this contact in countries, for example, in Thailand or Indonesia.
It usually have some like the umbrella to cover first, and then do exchange student against faculty member, and they get used to each others. So then they try to initiate by themselves. It doesn't mean that from the top-down policy to do research. I think we cannot do like that. So I think that the most faculty should have some collaboration first and make them know each others, and then they try to exchange their interests, and then can do some research.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So basically, like from Thailand, there will be like a kind of an umbrella research first, and then it will include the students as well as the professors.
Yeah,
and there is this people-to-people contact, and we can do.
Yeah, I would like to say that for Burapha University right now,
Yes.
the faculty of political science law, right, include the other faculty together, combined into one. Because we have in the past few years, we have graduate school of public administration, Right now, you set the policy to combine them together, and we have to have a new dean. And we have to select new dean at the end of this year. So I think it depends lastly on the new dean as well. We try to keep in touch. I might be the ambassador, for example, because
Thank you for the comprehensive information, Professor Samrit. So, yes, I think we have touched most issues regarding this internationalization program at higher learning institution, from the challenges and how we can encounter those challenges and how we can survive during this pandemic. I guess this online platform have brought us greater opportunities to be closer again with international partners, just to raise the international approach with our international exposure with international university partners for the declining of international mobility, including the students as well as the professors. And I think that everyone here agrees that in order to survive this pandemic, for the universities to be able to stay focused on the demand of what the university needs and what it needs to become global or to achieve those global goals, then it should be the main focus of the university to stay survive in the top levels or in the top rank of the universities. So that would be the main focus or the main points of our discussions this afternoon. And I, as the moderator, would like to thank each keynote speaker and all of participants for being kindly active during the seminar, including in the WhatsApp group, the YouTube, and also the chat forum from the Zoom platform. And I hope we will meet again in a similar program. A very good afternoon, and I'd like to return the floor to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suraya. Ladies and gentlemen, it is such fruitful discussion we have this afternoon. I believe we have gained a lot from our keynote speakers, best practices and experiences. I, Laila Camelia, as the Master of Ceremony, would like to thank each participant, keynote speaker, committee members, and everyone who has participated in this online seminar. On behalf of the organizing committee, I apologize for any inconvenience during this seminar. May we meet again in the next occasion. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Good afternoon. Sawadee ka. Guten Morgen. Terima kasih.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Johannes. Thank you, Professor Sabri, Dr. Ladiki.
Thank you very much.
And nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Johannes, we will look forward to meeting you again here.
Yes,
And
I
also
hope
Professor
so.
Sabri, Dr. Ladiki. When this pandemic is over, I know. Hopefully, the pandemic is over soon.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to move back to Bangkok right now and Chitpuri.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Hannes. Thank you. Terima kasih, Bapak Dr. Landiki.